not really Arab much. It's in Africa, and not the Middle East, but it borders Spain, literally, like 3 times. This is gonna be a fun one. It's time to learn geography now! Hey everybody, I'm your host Barbs. Most of you may have at least heard of the country Morocco. So many iconic images of Casablanca, the markets of Marrakesh, couscous, and fez hats. Although they did not originate here, but they totally made it popular. There's a lot going on and a lot of stuff to cover, so let's just find this place on the map first, shall we? For Morocco, they have their own interesting way of doing things, and you kind of have that West Coast Arab vibe. They're kind of like the California of the Arab world, I guess you could say. Oddly enough, they also kind of have the same size and population of California. Anyway, the country is located in the North African region known as the Maghreb. It straddles the Atlantic Ocean to the west and the Mediterranean to the northeast, with a narrow 8-mile wide or 13-kilometer corridor between them and the tip of Spain, known as the Strait of Gibraltar. Even though Gibraltar, an overseas territory of the UK, is here, and the actual closest tip of Spain is here on the town and island of Tarifa. They are bordered by Algeria to the east, and we'll talk about these things in a sec. It's a tricky subject. The country is divided into 12 regions, 3 of which are locked in areas with a confusing dispute, and the capital, Rabat, located along the West Atlantic coast. The largest city, Casablanca, is just a skip away, whereas the next largest cities are Fez, closer inland, while Tangier and Marrakesh have almost identical populations and sometimes switch off for 3rd place. Of course, the busiest airport is Casablanca's Mohammed V International. However, the next busiest are actually Marrakesh and Agadir, both incredibly popular destinations for business and tourism. Now let's get into the good stuff. You guys know how much I love territorial anomalies, and Morocco is loaded with them. First off, context. Morocco has gone through a lot of sovereignty switches. Historically, they were a French protectorate, and parts of it were colonized by the Spanish. The United Nations labels this area as the largest and most populous non-self-governing territory in the world, and in a nutshell, it kind of went like this.
Okay guys, I'm leaving. It seems like you guys are the ones that want this land the most, so I'll let you guys figure it out. See ya.
It's mine.
Mine.
No, it's mine.
What are you talking about?
No, dude, it's mine. It's mine. Basically, there was a war between all 3 sides. Mauritania eventually stepped down, but Morocco kept going. And to this day, about 80% of the land, starting at around the 27th parallel, including almost the entire coast and most of the resources, with a sizable offshore oil deposit, is de facto run by Morocco. Out of the 500,000 residents in this area, only about a 1/5 live in the Polisario claimed areas, and about 40% alone live in the Moroccan-run city of Laayoune, or El Ayoun. If you move inland, though, you reach the sand berm, a militarized wall in the middle of the sands that separates the SADR separatists from the rest of Morocco. Here you reach the last and probably most intense Moroccan outpost, Gergera, which sits right on the berm wall. And from there, the map literally says no man's land, until you reach the very tip of the Nouadhibou Peninsula that we talked about in the Mauritania episode, and it has an abandoned town called La Guera at the very tip. This is technically the only coastal land that the Polisario Front has in their territorial claim. However, they don't really use it much because most of their imports come in from Mauritania or Algeria. Their headquarters is located in the town of Tindouf. Plus, Morocco is kind of keeping a very close eye on making sure that they don't try anything funny with access to the ocean. If you want to visit Western Sahara, though, you can pretty much only enter from Morocco, and even then, it might get closed off during times of tension. Whereas entrance to the Polisario Front claimed territory is almost impossible to any outsiders. To this day, about 40 countries have diplomatic relations with the SADR. No nation fully recognizes Morocco's full sovereignty over the entire area. However, many do support the idea of Morocco annexing the area as an autonomous self-governing region under the Kingdom of Morocco. And if that wasn't enough, say hello to Spain's little friends. If you go up north on the Mediterranean, you'll find the Plazas de Soberanía. These are like the last and final remnants of the Spanish Empire in northern Africa scattered along the coast. According to international law, the legality of these areas fall under Spain, as scholars have been able to defend the claim that the modern state of Morocco was founded after these areas were already constitutionally part of Spain, even though Morocco was like...
That's mine.
Really? I mean, this button is literally attached to my shirt.
It's still my button, though.
The 2 largest entities being the cities of Ceuta, closer to Spain in the west, with a population of about 82,000, and Melilla, a little further east, with a population of about 80,000, and it has its own airport. In addition, you have the 3 Alhucemas Islands, the 3 Chafarinas Islands, and finally, Peñón de Vélez de la Gomera, an incredibly small military outpost only connected by an 85-meter wide sandy isthmus, making it the world's shortest international land border. In addition, 2 more islands fall under disputed territory. There's Isla Perejil, Nube Island, and Isla de Alboran. Whew. Otherwise, I asked you guys, the Moroccan geography peeps, to give us a list of some of the coolest and notable sites of Morocco. Some of the stuff you guys mentioned were Badi Castle, the Blue City of Chefchaouen, Jardin Majorelle, Mohammed V Mausoleum, the Hercules Cave, Ibn Danan Synagogue, the gates of Fez, and Fez disputedly has the largest car-free urban zone. These ruins of a Roman city, the castle of Meknes, this university, which is like the oldest in the world, the Maronid tombs, and of course, Hassan II Mosque in Casablanca, the 7th largest mosque in the world, and it has the highest minaret in the world. And speaking of things that have height, Morocco has some amazing mountains, which brings us to... Now, people tend to think that northern Africa is all sand, but when you head west, they have more rocks in Morocco. Man, I haven't done a slap gig in a long time. Thank you, Hannah. First of all, the country lies right on the boundary where the African plate meets the Eurasian plate, with the Atlas thrust fault lines cutting through the country just at the very northern tip at the Rift Mountains. This also creates the other three mountain chains, the Middle Atlas, the Anti-Atlas, and the High Atlas, where the tallest peak and tallest in North Africa can be found in Toubkal. Also, you can find the largest lake, the Bin El Ouidan Reservoir, and the source of the longest river, the Dra River, which flows all the way into the Atlantic. If you include Western Sahara down south, you get more dry and empty vast desert land with a decent mineral deposit used for mining. Basically, the coastal areas north of the mountains where the majority of the population lives are of course flatter and arable with more lush vegetation. Sometimes it even snows in the high altitudes. Morocco even has the largest ski resort in Africa, whereas everything south of that is pretty much dry, rocky, and hot. Alright, and that's that. Now it's time for my triple shot of espresso break like usual, which means Noah comes...
Did somebody say Noah? Yeah, despite the arid terrain, Morocco actually has quite a comfortable set of natural resources. About 18% of the land is arable and about 12% of the country is forested. The country also has a wide range of biodiversity. Many are endemic like gazelles, boars, and fennec foxes, over 90 species of reptiles and macaque monkeys. And yes, you may have seen the pictures of those tree-climbing goats. Yep, they do exist. They are found here as well, mostly in the town of Tamri. Unfortunately, due to illegal animal trade and human intervention, much of the species are disappearing, and some, like the national symbol of Morocco, the Barbary lion, have gone extinct in the area. The last one was seen in 1922. Otherwise, Morocco is the fifth largest economy in Africa by GDP per person parity. The service industry jobs, mostly in mining, take the largest chunk of the workforce. I mean, they do hold about 75% of the world's known phosphorus mines. Nonetheless, they are still a heavily agrarian dependent nation, as the sector employs about 40% of the populace. It is said that Morocco has the largest fish market in Africa, taking about 3% of their entire GDP, and they are the largest exporter of sardines in the world. Finally, little interesting side note, even though it's illegal to smoke it, they are the top exporter of legally grown cannabis in the world, sold in the form of hashish. On average, they produce about 70% of Europe's imports. Speaking of resources, food. Some top dishes you guys, the Moroccan geography peeps mentioned, include things like anything cooked in a tangine pot, rafisa, harira soup, pastilla, sefa, ruzia, mashui, and of course the national dish of couscous. Everyone knows this one. And sweets like these amazing things. And finally, you cannot go around Morocco without stumbling upon their favorite drink, mint tea. Oh, and Morocco is pretty much the only country that produces and exports argan oil. It is used in a variety of ways, sometimes in food, sometimes in cosmetics, or hair products.
It's pretty much the only thing that controls my hair.
And speaking of things with hair, people, let's get to it, shall we?
That was a good transition, wasn't it? People, because people have hair.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, you wrote it.
Yeah.
So,
You said it good. In the Arab world, Morocco is kind of seen as like the strange cousin that got brought into the family by marriage. Most Moroccans probably wouldn't even identify as Arab. Let's explain. First of all, the country has about 36 million people and has the largest native Berber Amazigh community in all of Africa. It's hard to get exact estimates, but the censuses say that somewhere around 41 to 80% of the entire population has Berber Amazigh ancestry, whether it be full or partial, whereas 90% are non-Berber identifying Arabs. The remaining 1% are made up of other groups, mostly French and Spanish, as well as West African immigrants. They use the Moroccan dirham as their currency, they use the type C and E plug outlets, and they drive on the right side of the road. And on that note, what is Berber/Amazigh? Now, we've talked about this in quite a few other videos before, but basically, in a nutshell, they are the native indigenous semi-nomadic peoples that have inhabited various regions of North Africa prior to Arab conquests. They have a completely different story and background from Arabs. They have their own traditions, customs, art, clothing, and language. Today, Berber/Amazigh is an official language alongside Arabic in both Morocco and Algeria, and it can be written in both the Latin and Neo-Tifinagh script, which looks awesome. It looks like dancing people, and you can find it on street signs and billboards all over. That being said, most metropolitan Moroccans are trilingual, growing up with both languages and a European one as a third, mostly French. They were French protectorate at one point. Keith, if I asked you to ask all the Arabs around the world which country they probably think has the weirdest dialect, which one do you think they'd say?
Well, considering I think this is the Moroccan episode we're on, right? So I'm gonna go with Moroccan.
Yep.
Is that all you need me for?
Yeah, I mean, you just need more screen time because the subscribers love you.
All right, well, I'm gonna go awkwardly dance in the back, so I will...
I don't see why not. Moroccans speak Arabic with a distinct dialect known as Darija, very hard to understand from a standard speaker, and some say it could even be classified as its own language. Much of it is influenced off of Berber/Amazigh. For example, here's one of our subscribers from Morocco explaining.
So, hello, I am Ali from Tangier, Morocco, and I'm going to tell you the difference between Arabic and Moroccan dialect. Like, I am going to that place near the market. In Arabic, it would be like, سأذهب لذلك المكان بجوار المحل. But in Moroccan dialect, it is something just like, أنا أنشدك بلاصة الحانوت.
Wow. On another note, Morocco is also a monarchy, a kingdom ruled under Mohammed VI, claiming to be a direct descendant of the Islamic prophet Mohammed. He belongs to the Alawite dynasty, the second oldest ruling dynasty in the world after Japan's Yamato imperial family. The country's state religion is Islam. The vast majority, at about 99%, identify as adhering to the faith, mostly in the Sunni branch, and the remainder are mostly Christians and a small Jewish community. Speaking of which, Morocco used to have the largest Jewish population in the Arab world, some estimates claiming to be up to 350,000. After war times of the 20th century, though, nearly all of them either fled or were expelled, most heading to Israel, and today Moroccan Jews make up the second largest Jewish ethnic subgroup in Israel, and today less than 3,000 remain in Morocco. Culturally speaking, Moroccans have a very vibrant background, most of which being Berber Amazigh influenced. Keep in mind, though, there are many different types of Berber Amazigh peoples and tribes. Some are light-skinned, some are dark-skinned, some have different customs, but overall, there are some universal traits that they all kind of share. You know what, Hannah? Come on in, just take this one. You know, why not?
Okay, prior to the spread of Islam, most Berber/Amazigh were traditionally animists that practiced things like ancestor veneration. Facial and body tattoos were common a long time ago amongst women, with each image symbolizing something important, but the practice has been dying out since the 1940s, and today you can only find it mostly amongst the elderly. The national dress for both men and women, a unisex scarf, is called jalaba, a long, loose, hooded garment which serves to keep the person warm but also protected from the sun. Moroccan architecture and literature is unique in itself. The high-walled dar structure is common to help ward off thieves and animals while minimizing heat. Metalwork, textiles, and pottery are of course world-renowned. Much of the traditional music incorporates a fusion of Arab and Berber/Amazigh undertones, with a touch of French and maybe Andalusian Spanish.
Jeez, this list is getting pretty long. Ken, what else do we have to cover?
Let's see. There's the fortune teller thing, the Hammam Bats house, the Rif Independence thing, the weird dentist where you can find in the marketplace.
Yeah, we don't have time. Let's just save it for Fan Friday. Thank you, Hannah. I'll do the history part now. For Morocco's history, in the quickest way I can condense it: the state of Carthage, independent Berber kingdoms, Roman Empire, Muslim conquests, Berber revolt, first Moroccan state under this dynasty. These dynasties come in, which are responsible for Muslim Spain. Reconquista occurs. These dynasties. Finally, the Alawite dynasty, which is the current one. First Moroccan crisis, the Treaty of Fez, independence, Green March, Arab Spring, and here we are today. I asked you guys, the Moroccan geography peeps, for a list of some famous Moroccans, whether they are partial or fully Moroccan. Some people you mentioned were historical figures like Ibn Rushd or Averroes, Ibn Tashfin, Ibn Battuta, Princess Dia, Tariq Ibn Ziyad. Contemporaries like Samira Said, Saad Lamjared, Badr Hari, Marian Shadid, Mehdi Balatia, Otman Benjaloun, Gad Elemale, Red One, French Montana, Edith Piaf, yeah, she was part Moroccan, technically kind of David Guetta, Hicham Gerouj, and of course the Moroccan royal family. Whew, yeah, Morocco has quite a lot of interesting people and backstory. No wonder why they have such a unique set of friends. See what I did there? It's a transition into the... Now, Morocco's proximity to Europe and access to the Atlantic has always meant that they had way more exposure to the Western world than most of their cousins, which has played a crucial role in their diplomacy. For one, they were the first country in the world to recognize the USA as a country. Yeah, Morocco. During the Revolution times, Sultan Mohammed III in 1777 said any American merchant ship in his trade routes were under his protection. And in 1786, they signed the Moroccan-American Treaty of Friendship, which is actually the oldest friendship treaty in the USA. With Spain, it's kind of like a love-hate relationship, as they do great business and have history, but there's always the exclave thing. Saudi Arabia is like a close friend that typically supports and funds many projects and deals in Morocco. Morocco sent troops to help Saudi Arabia during the Gulf War, and the two kings get along pretty well. When it comes to their best friends, however, it's interesting because most Moroccans I have talked to have actually said France. Despite the past colonial issues, they've moved on, and France does the most business with Morocco. French is widely spoken. Both countries' peoples are always visiting or moving to each other. France has the highest Moroccan population outside of Morocco, and today they work together beautifully. In conclusion, Morocco is kind of like the uncle that married into the Arab family. It's probably one of the most beautiful places to visit in the Arab world, but maybe not the best place to learn what it truly means to be Arabic. Stay tuned, Mozambique is coming up next.
I hope you appreciate this documentary here. I told you it's condensing, a huge amount of information from geography, as I said, to economy, to sociology, and so on. So I guess you might have a lot of questions. So I am here for to give you at least some element of response to your questioning. Because who knew something about Morocco before this documentary? So it's really a first for you to hear about the country, where it is located, and not to speak of the culture, politics, and so on. So please be curious. Be curious. That's what sociology is about. It's curiosity. Be curious, and yeah, I am here to try to satisfy your curiosity as much as I can. So don't hesitate. Very. One to create a dynamic. Just give one to ask questions. Yeah, please go ahead.
I saw that the arrangement Morocco was seen in the United States as a first recognized another country.
Yeah.
So what is the current relation between the United States and I see that they supply troops during the Gulf War to Saudi Arabia?
Yeah, as we said, we are the first country to recognize the U.S. sovereignty as independent country in 1988. Ever since we had another historical moment that strengthened the relationship between Morocco and the U.S. is during the Second World War, when in Casablanca there was a gathering of de Gaulle, French President, Churchill, the British, the English, and Roosevelt, they gathered in Casablanca to prepare for the final assault against fascist Germany and Boudoudou. So Morocco served as a military base to prepare for this. And we were still under French protectorate. And this is I have a very short computer, 5 minutes, that shows this relationship, how during the Second World War, this relationship became really strong, and that allows Eisenhower to come to Morocco for an official visit in 52 or 53. Now, as I said, which means Morocco, when Morocco gets its independence in 1956, at this epoch, we were in the end of the Second World War, but the beginning of the Cold War. Yeah. So any new independent country has to make a choice, strategic choice, as we said. Either to ally itself with what used to be called the free world, the Western world, Europe, US, or the Soviet empire. So in North Africa, we have Morocco that made its choice. It allied itself to free world. While Algeria, our neighbor, made the other another choice, which explained a lot regarding this. Regarding the issue of Sahara, Western Sahara, which is a conflicting fact between Moroccan and strategic geopolitical conflict. See, everything is linked. You mentioned the Gulf War. Yeah, we are close and allies to Saudi Arabia. We, because, of course, we belong to the same brand of Islam, Sunni Islam, okay? As opposed to Shia Islam, Iran, in fact, okay? You hear every day now this Shia, Sunni, and so on. On one hand. On the other hand, we are a country without oil. In the Arab world, we are the only country without oil. So Saudi Arabia is helping a lot. She's selling us oil, I won't say cheap, but cheaper than the world market. And we are also, of course, helping as often as possible. The latest one is Yemen, but Morocco just withdraw now. Just withdraw from this business with Saudi Arabia, so the relationship are not that perfect so far right now with Saudi Arabia. But we're still, from a geopolitical standpoint, we're still allies. Of course, as I said, these two historical moments, recognizing the independence of the United States and Second World War and Gulf War, where Moroccans, the 1990 First World War, of course, they participated. So that makes it really, that strengthens the relationship, which explains why I am here. Because, for this Fulbright, the grant was proposed to Morocco and Jordan, because they are the two countries friendly to the US. We have friendly relationship and so on. This is please.
My question is, if I want to go to Morocco as a tourist, or if someone want to go, what is the best advice you got to give to me? Like, if I want to go to Morocco right now, what is the best advice you got to give?
In January, Chinese students from SFCC, Spokane Forest Community College, where I am teaching right now, like you did, they decided to go to Morocco for the holiday, and he went there with his girlfriend, and he came to my office asking me the same question. So I told him, it depends. What are you after here? What do you want? What is your interest in going in this country? So we just want to have fun. My girlfriend is joining from Australia. She's coming to Morocco and so on. We just have 2 weeks. So I draw with him kind of trajectory, interesting places to see and so on, north, south, east, west, and so on. That's to say, at the end of his trip, he came back, he told me, we just stayed in the south, we loved it. We will be back for to see the other parts of the country. Because this is Morocco, you have the northern part, which is where we have more rainy seasons and so on. It's green, we have, of course, agriculture, and we have landscape, green landscape, like here. But more you go to the south, what it gets dry and like deserts. But it has also its own charm, because you have oases there, and it's really beautiful. So, you go to Morocco, I think, in terms of cities, of course we have Fez, which is one of the oldest cities, like 14th century history. See, it's very old. It's a real city. Greek meaning of city. You have Meknes, close to. You have Rabat, the capital, which is also a very old city, worth visiting. Even Casablanca, which is not very necessarily new, it's been built by the French in the beginning of the 20th century around a port, but now it's huge. It's really the business capital of Morocco. It's 4 million inhabitants, and the main economic activities are there: industry, businesses, and so on. But you go to the south. Of course, Marrakesh. Marrakesh is the mecca of the jet set of the world. Everybody goes to Marrakesh. This is it's a beautiful city for sure. It's located in the south. It's dry, really dry region, but it's also green because it used to be an oasis that with urbanization and so on and so forth. You can go further to the south towards the desert and so on. On the coastal line, Atlantic coastal line, these are really beautiful, small to mid-sized cities until the Sahara, the Western Sahara, Northern Sahara. So you have Morocco, the Mediterranean Ocean, you have the Atlantic Ocean, you have mountains, you have plains, you have, see what I mean? Okay. You have everything you really wanted to please.
So they say in the videos, I don't know if it's right, but they say 99% of the people in Morocco, they Muslim?
Yeah, Muslim.
99% Muslim?
99,
so
yeah.
Can you explain more about the, like, the family, like if someone want to get married in Morocco, what is the process, like the process of getting married, like
we don't have civil marriage.
Like what do they do, like?
So it's you need to go through the religious procedure. But it happens that it is maybe so
because like in Nigeria, the Muslim, like where I live in the north for a couple
Nigeria,
months. Yeah, Nigeria, not Nigeria.
Ah, okay, Nigeria. Okay.
I lived in the north for a couple months because my dad was kind of Muslim a little bit.
Muslim,
but
Muslim.
he's the one
But I understand him. Yeah.
He's the one that like the marriage and stuff. You have to go through some process before the girl, dad, I mean the family is going to accept you.
Are you, because, sorry, just to clarify.
Yeah, I want to know like what is the process in Morocco like for them? You said 99% is Muslim. Like, what is the process of you getting married?
Yeah, you see, in Morocco, in Islam, Muslim women cannot marry a non-Muslim unless this non-Muslim convert to Islam.
Wait, can you say it again?
Sorry?
Can you say it again?
A Muslim woman cannot marry a non-Muslim man.
Yeah.
Okay. Unless the man convert to Islam.
Yeah.
Okay. No, cannot marry a non-Muslim man. Yes, but a Jewish or a Christian, because they belong to the monotheist religion, but they still need to convert to Islam. If you are not Jewish, if you are not Christian, you cannot marry a Moroccan woman. You just can't. That's how.
Because that is Abrahamic religion.
Yeah, absolutely. It's Abraham. You need to belong to the Abrahamic religion, Jewish or Christian. Now we have. Believe me, we have thousands
so
now.
For me now, I can't just go to Morocco and be like, I saw a girl that I like. I'll be like, oh, I want to get married. They're not gonna let me. They're not gonna let me get married to her.
Let me tell you, give you facts, contemporary facts. As you might know, Morocco. Oh yeah, thank you. Morocco right now is the magnet. It's a magnet. Oh no, I will drop what this one. You have Europe here, and Spain, Portugal, France, and so on. You have the Mediterranean here. You have the Atlantic here. You have Tangiers here, Rabat here, Casablanca here, Agadir here. You go to the Western Sahara here. You have Marrakesh here. You have Fez here, Meknes here, Tangier, Tétouan, Oujda. You have Algeria here, Tunisia here, okay, Libya, Egypt, and so on. And the Middle East. So this is the Mediterranean. You have Italy, Greece, and so on. But here you have Africa, Senegal, Niger, and so on and so forth. Right now, we have thousands of sub-Saharan African coming in Morocco to try to make it to Europe. Okay? Thousands. Unfortunately, they are trapped. Including Nigeria. People from Nigeria, I met one of them. There are several. Usually, Africans who came to Morocco are francophone. They speak French. They were under French colonization, so it's easy for them to get back. But you know, if you want to go to Europe, they came from all around, even from Anglophone countries, including Nigeria. Okay? So they came here, tried to cross the Mediterranean to go to Europe. Nigeria, they want to go to England. The Anglophone country, they want to go to England. So they, even those who made it to Spain, they go to France and to travel to UK, but they are trapped in the north of France. Very few make it to UK. So now we have really hundreds are trapped here. They are living in forests and stuff, waiting for an opportunity because we built our wall. We built a wall. Really a wall here. We built one. I mean, the Europeans built it. They give the money. We are, let's say, in short, I will come back to your question. This is the context within which you can understand even this micro issue of marriage and so on. Because we are having, concretely speaking, African, they are trapped in Morocco. A lot of them, they are desperate now. They know they won't ever make it, as I said, because there is really a war, a very efficient one. Very efficient one. So Europe, they spend a lot of money to stop this flux of immigrants coming in. So they have the means, they know, I mean, the surveillance they have. Without this war, I mean, they know everything. They know, even they know the fish migration in the ocean. They know about it. So how about you? That's to say, a lot of Africans finally said, okay, let's make our living here. And they started settling down in Morocco, finding jobs, and marrying a Moroccan woman. See, I'm coming to your question. They started marrying. We have now, I would say, not thousands, but hundreds now. You see? So, if they come from a Muslim country, there's no problem. They marry the Muslim, they have no problem. But if they are Christian, or, if they are Christian, they need to convert. Usually, Moroccans are far more, let's say, liberal in terms of religion than in other countries. Far more liberal. So, it's just money. You just pay money and you will find somebody who will write down this paper saying, okay, you convert, you say Allahu Akbar, and it's okay, you are a Muslim. So, there are a lot of arrangements, the way to make this work. Make this work. Even for non-Muslim, I'm talking. For Muslim, there is no issue here. Marry, no problem. For non-Muslim, so because they need to convert. So what does it mean convert? You just say, it's a faith confession. You say, I ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa anna Muhammadun Rasulullah. I acknowledge there is one God. There is one God, and Muhammad is his messenger. That's it. You are Muslim. So it's easy. So a lot of young man in love. Okay, he's ready to say Allah, whatever it takes. You see, it's just form, just form. Now we have a bureaucratic process. So once you get, you say, okay, I convert to Islam. That's fine. It's the right thing. You convert. Or do you want to change your name to a Muslim name? Yes. What's your Mustafa? Okay, Mustafa. No, it's done. You are Muslim. Then you can marry. So it's easy. That's why we have hundreds now of couple, mixed couple with. So it's not something new, if you want. Now we have hundreds of cases of African marrying Moroccan women. So the procedure is very simple. Please.
I just want
Please.
or a couple of questions.
Please.
So, do you, and it is kind of personal, or you're not a person, so are you Berber?
Yes.
You are. You speak Berber?
No.
Okay.
Because it's very complex issue. Very complex. I would say, I say spontaneously, oh really? Oh, I started enjoying it. I should have said yes and no. Yes, because I was born here in a city called Taza, because we have here 3 Berber blocks.
Right.
The Rif Mountains, these are called Rifans. They speak Talifit. We have Atlas Mountains here, this Amazigh.
Yeah.
They speak Tamazigh. Okay. And you have Sus here in the south, they speak Tashkent. Anyway, so I was born here. Okay? Of course, Berber, 40th century ago. But we, as you know, Islam came from the Middle East.
Right.
Okay? So, but if you come from the Middle East to Algeria, to come into Morocco, you need to go through a couloir called the Taza, Bab Taza. Bab is the door. Bab Taza. We have mountains here, and you have this pass. You have to go through here. But to go through here, you have tribes here.
Right.
I belong to a confederation of tribes that control this. So when this guy came in, the Muslim guy came in here, he was welcomed by this confederation of tribes. He came in with Islam, Dawah, and so on and so forth. These people believed in Islam, convert to Islam, adopted this guy. Why? Because he married a Muslim woman, a Berber woman called Kenza. She belongs to this confederation. So it's alliance, marriage, alliance, marriage, alliance by marriage. So it started, then Islam spread everywhere. So with Islam, we got Arabic language. So as I belong to this, I would say, birthplace of Islam, Moroccan Islam, so we convert.
And you lost your language?
14th century. So, I mean, nobody in my family for like many generations don't speak any Berber. Yeah. But a lot of tribes are still around here, still speaking Berber. But in general, in Morocco, as it's been said in the document, they speak Berber and they speak Arabic. And they speak Berber and Arabic, plus French or Spanish or English and so on. Yeah.
Thank you
You're
very
welcome.
much.
You're welcome.
But, you know, it's already time, so
Yeah,
I would just request a class to get together with Dr. Boudoudou so we can have one class picture with him. A group picture. If you don't mind. Is that okay with everybody? Yeah. Okay, all right. And let's give him a big hand for his wonderful presentation.
Thank you. I enjoyed it.
Thank you.